New details emerge in the Thanksgiving Day brawl at Halle Berry's house. I'm Highland Hollywood for the Daily Buzz on CELEBUZZ.com. So in the wake of the throwdown between Gabriel Aubry and Olivier Martinez last week, Halle Berry's mother told us exclusively she hopes things calm down. Well, we're seeing some ugly pictures of Gabriel's face surfaced right now, and we need to talk about that. Joining me right now is attorney and legal analyst Darren Kavinoky. Darren, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First, let's talk about this emergency protection injunction thing that went down.
Right.
Halle goes to the powers that be and say, hey, I need to get this guy away from my kid and my family. What's going on? Now, we have Gabriel coming back and saying, no, let's get rid of this injunction. How does the judge make sense of all this?
Yeah, well, the courts are in the business of making tough judgment calls. And this is, but by the way, can we agree that love triangles, they just bring out the best in people?
God, this is so ugly. But what's also, it's funny because we have pictures of the guy with his face beaten up and all.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's a little girl involved in the middle of this. And this is what pisses me off as a guy. Like, come on, guys. Like, be men about it. Not fight each other, but like, do this like rational adults. You're all probably going to be in each other's lives. They can't seem to get it together.
Well, ultimately, the court's job is to be as fair and balanced as you were just now. What they're primarily concerned with is the best interest of the kids, right? At the end of the day, that's exactly what's going to control every decision that gets made in the family court. And the judge has to make some tough factual findings about who's telling the truth in all of this. Because right now, everybody's saying, oh, no, he started it. No, he started it. And obviously, even though Aubry, if you look at those photos, and they are gruesome and disturbing, he clearly was the recipient of an old-fashioned beatdown, but he is also being criminally prosecuted. So
you have
there's you've got two totally separate worlds we've got to deal with. So we've got to distinguish between those two. So on the criminal side, Aubry was arrested, and it was a citizen's arrest, basically, and now he can be prosecuted for battery, even though the district attorney has not yet filed formal charges against him, but that's something that's looming. And there's actually something coming down the pike, that those criminal charges where he faces up to 6 months in jail and a fine of a couple $1,000s. Separate and apart from that, we have all these proceedings in family court. And that's where all of these different restraining orders are
Which takes precedence?
Well, for the most time sensitive is what's happening in the family court. You can go in and get those emergency protective orders right away. You basically go in, you fill out a declaration where you check the right boxes and say that you've been threatened or there's some harm that could be visited upon you, and the court's going to act right away, at least temporarily, and say, look, you guys stay away from each other.
Till we sort this out.
Till we sort this out. Then we've got to have a full-blown hearing where there's going to be witnesses that get up on the stand and testify, or we've heard about this video evidence. Right,
so this video evidence that is supposed to be coming to the surface now, it shows Olivier provoking the fight, him basically starting the fight.
Allegedly.
Now, allegedly. So if this turns out to be true, and this is the case, this is a huge, misstep for the whole Halle Berry camp on this, right?
Well, obviously, we've heard, well, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in this case, it may be several thousand. So ultimately, because right now we've got these conflicting stories about who started it, and we have these two guys certainly behaving badly, right? There's this notion that Martinez ran into Aubry at the Thanksgiving recital and said to him, I wish I could kick, I wish I could kick your ass right now. I'm paraphrasing. But, that's really sticks and stones. That shouldn't be provoking any kind of physical response. Ultimately, what's going to be at the very, very focus is going to be who threw the first punch.
Right.
Because if you swing first, the person who's on the receiving end of that first punch, they have the right to use reasonable force to protect themselves, right? That's just basic old-fashioned self-defense. So if Aubry is the one that swung first, and then Martinez responds to that and kicks his butt, the fact that Aubry is so beaten down isn't going to protect him. If you're the guy that started it, you're the one who's going to be in most trouble.
Well, this sounds like, these videos sound like they're coming from the Aubry camp and saying, hey, he started this fight, plus I got these pictures of, I got a bloody eye, I got this and that.
He definitely looks like he got the
it doesn't
worst
look
of
like that this is going to fall in Halle's way if everything stays the way it is right now.
But what's so interesting about this, and this is such a rich, nuanced, multi-level kind of a case, because if you remember, there was this dispute that happened a short time ago where Halle and Martinez wanted to take the kid to France.
Right.
And Aubrey stepped forward and stopped that.
Right, right.
So now that could be back in play as well, right? And because if you're Halle Berry and you're Martinez, Aubrey is not looking so good. If Aubrey's the one that actually started the fight, then that's something that could be relevant to the court, not on the criminal court side, on the family court side, to say, look, how good of a parent is this guy? And ultimately, the court has a lot of latitude. They have broad powers to fashion some kind of relief. So it could be parenting classes, could be anger management, could be psychological counseling, whatever's in the best interest of the kid. The one thing that we know is not in the best interest of the kid, and I will put money on this now, that kid is not going to be placed with the voice of Elmo. Because that voice of Elmo guy, he's got his own problem.
Not only is he a lawyer, but he's always a jokester. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Let us know what you think about this story. Use the hashtag #TheDailyBuzz. And for the biggest stories breaking right now, head on over to CELEBUZZ.com. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.